Okay, I think I got everything ready now. Just got to make sure everything's working. And it looks like it is. Cool. So, I have no clue how today is going to go right now. Uh, the purpose of this stream is that I tried doing a mix session by request to, well, it was only sort of by request. I had a friend that is trying to use Pro Tools but doesn't want to pay for the full version yet, or more actual. I can't talk right now. Can't actually afford it right now. So he was looking into Pro Tools first. He didn't want to use Reaper as an option. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'll take a look at Pro Tools first, see if it's actually any good, and if it's a viable option. Well, I did a mix of this song currently, and it was not great. No, I didn't have a single good experience with it. And, well, long story short is it deleted my whole mix session before I got to finish it. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna live stream this mix session, and I will cut videos from this if I need to. And I don't even know if I'm gonna do the whole thing right now because I don't really feel like sitting here forever mixing. And I don't know how well the stream is gonna go in terms of stability. This is new for me. Right off the bat, some of the things that I really don't let me pull this up here. Some of the things I really don't like with Pro Tools First is when you load in an audio track, every single track automatically has polyphonic elastic audio turned on, and I hate that. It's just more CPU I don't want to use. Uh I believe you're only allowed 16 audio tracks right in Pro Tools First. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so I'm at 14 right now. So yeah, I thought it was either 12 or 16, so it must be 16. And that is not enough audio tracks. Um, for one, I like to split my bass, uh, DI, and an amp track. So what I did is in the regular version of Pro Tools when I was getting the files ready for this, I just put it on a stereo track. So right here I have the bass on the channel and the amp track on the right channel, and then on the panning, all I did was zero them out. That way it's still in the center, and I will just try to treat them with a multi-mono effect rather than stereo. So, got my fingers crossed that that works all right. Same with guitar. I just went left, right, stereo rather than two monos. Save some room because it will, if it's mono or stereo, it you can only have 16 tracks. So might as well make the most of it. Make them stereo. So toms, I also did something similar. I went the rack toms stereo and then the floor tom stereo. There was no snare bottom with this. We I was pretty new to recording drums when we tracked this, so we didn't really go for everything. We couldn't. I don't remember. It's been a while. Uh, the vibe of this song we wanted to be raw and old school as yeah, just raw and old school. Don't know if I can swear on live streams. I got to try to pay attention to that. Let's see here. Lead harmony or lead left to right. Got that. In fact, I should probably pan those more center. Whatever. Worry about that later. And then vocal, I also went ahead and uh, put the main track in a stereo, left, right, centered the main one. This one, I believe, is supposed to be a panned effect, so I should be panning the main vocal left for this part. So I think I can leave this over to the right. And yeah, let's see, this is just a useless vocal. I don't even know if I'm gonna use that. I bounced this sub track. I didn't think I'd actually get to fit that in here, but it it does, so I'm gonna try to use it in the end. Some of the things I do not like about Pro Tools first is that, well, for one, all I was working with in the original song was the DI tracks, and I was having problems reamping this song with Pro Tools first. So I'm going to mix this under the assumption that you already have ready to mix files, and I did all my tone setup in regular Pro Tools. So another thing, in regular Pro Tools, I have it set up so I can just hit solo, and every other solo will just undo itself. And here, you have to manually go in and unsolo everything, and that is really annoying. Anyway, so here's the guitars. These were recorded pretty bad. Like I said, we were going for a raw feel. The bass. And the drums. So for this, it's going to be a little fun experiment. We are using live drums, and without any triggering software or any of the plugins that I usually use for drums, this is going to be interesting. See if I can still remember how to use any of these things. Let's see. As for routing, only one kick and one snare, so those are just going straight to the drum bus. Toms, since there are 2 tracks, I have them bust to one stereo aux. We got the stereo overheads and mono room also just going to the drum tracks. Then I have the shells, the kick, the snare, and the toms going to a crush bus. I'm not going to use that yet. And I also have a muted version of the overheads going there. I'm not sure if this mix will require that, just because I don't really have anything to isolate the drums as much as I would like. And I don't really have a compressor that I would tonally shape it the way I want to. I only have the transparent stock compressor. So with Pro Tools first, let me pull up the plugin list. EQ, we got the 1-band and 7-band stock EQ. Now, these EQs are good. I mean, they're not bad. You can definitely get away with using it, but they don't really change the color of the tone like an SSL EQ would. You could view it like a Pro Q EQ, but it does introduce a little bit of artifacts that Pro Q does not. Like if you use the high pass filter, you're actually creating a little bit of noise in the low end that shouldn't be there, and that's all just digital NAST, which I don't really like, but it's still a competent EQ. We can use it. And we're only allowed 7 bands, so that is much less of a headache than dealing with Pro Q and having unlimited. Is it unlimited, or is there just a super high limit cap? I don't know, but it seems like that thing just goes on and on forever. And, like I said, with this bass, I'm going to use this multi-mono here and undo this link so I can do the EQ the left and right separate. That'll be a challenge. What else do we have? Dynamics. We have a compressor, a de-esser, and an expander slash gate. Now, I actually use this gate a little bit in regular Pro Tools. It depends on the source. It's very rare that I use it, but I do use the stock de-esser all the time. So that is at least something I'm familiar with. Let's check what we have with reverb. So we have deverb, which is awesome. Deverb on everything. It's a great reverb. It's probably my main reverb. And this I'm a little interested in because this studio reverb didn't come with the Pro Tools 12 that I have. I had to buy this, and I don't know why it's showing up here. Because my understanding is that you're not allowed to add in any extra plugins with Pro Tools first. And there it is. So I'm not sure if the new Pro Tools comes with it or what. Delays, we got Mod Delay 3, which is awesome. I use that on lead guitar all the time. Time adjuster, I don't really use that. I just manually adjust things if I need to. All right. See, here's another thing. RX-7 is on here. Like RX-7, there's no way Pro Tools comes with RX-7. That's bought. So this I'm definitely not gonna let myself use. Got the regular dithering stuff. All right, and it comes with expand, which is interesting because when I changed from my AMD rig to my Intel rig, expand went away and I could not reinstall it. That was rather annoying. So, those are all the plugins we have. Anything else in the multi-mono that wouldn't show up there? Signal generator. Instrument, click. Yeah. All right, so yeah, as you can see, with regular Pro Tools, there's a harmonic option here. And there you could pick something like your amp sims and whatnot. So because it doesn't show up here and you're not able to use any amp sims, they don't even let you use the free SansAmp plugin for bass. And that's a bummer. I would have loved to have used that. So I went ahead and printed my amp sim tracks. Now, I don't remember what we used for the actual album, but here, let me just pull up what we got. This is what we used, or this is what I used for the bass tone here. I was using the Darkglass Ultra plugin from Neural DSP. I absolutely love this thing. Oh, my phone's going off. So these are the settings I used for that, and this was the only thing I used on the DI. And that, where did you go? That sounds, hold on, get rid of the studio reverb, put a trim plugin on. Get rid of the DI track right now. So this is the sound I got with the Darkglass. I don't dislike that. That's actually pretty nice. The bass was in a horrible condition when we tracked this. So, like, none of the guitars were in great condition when we tracked this. So they have a pretty, let's just say raw, to put it nicely, tone. But it's okay. I didn't mind that when we tracked it because we were going for that raw and unpolished sound. So guitars, here we got this. And with that, we were using, or I'm using. First, I did the JST clip, and I used that pretty heavily. That's something I would do on any reamp, or pretty much any reamp I do, and I was just too lazy to run it through my actual amps over there, uh, and just sit and waste time like that. So I just wanted to print something quick and get it over with. To help get that more of a straight into the amp sound, I did throw on Pro Q. I made a few adjustments, and then the amp sim I used was the Sigma, and these were the settings I used for that. The cab IR I used was from Lancaster Audio. It's one of the Rev cabs. The stomp setting, I don't remember. I think I turned up the tone knob a bit, and maybe even the gain. I can't remember exactly what I did. I think I dimed the level and just messed with the gain until it made the gain stage in here actually sound right. Anyway, and that's all I used for that. For the lead tone, what do we got going on? And this is Dante, by the way. I don't know if you can see him. Say hi, Dante. Anyway, so here we have the lead tone. Let me unsolo the rhythm. That's actually pretty nice. I really like that. I don't dislike amp sims when it comes to lead guitar. I don't know what it is about it. Like for rhythm tones, I almost always hate it. I can never get the tone I'm looking for when I'm working with amp sims on rhythm. But for lead, I wanted to break up the uh, harmonics a little bit, so I used a different amp sim. I used the Tone Forge Guilty Pleasure because I got it for free. So why not? The Sigma amp I used, it was only like 15 bucks, I think. Again, I used JST Clip because that helps bring back some of the normal sound of a guitar that you lose when you track DI. Um, so these were the settings I used for the lead, and I just left it on the default cab. Uh, that was the condenser on a Mesa 4x12, I believe. And the stomp box over here, I did turn up the gain a bit and the level. And this, I think I did crank the tone knob a little bit. I don't think I made it darker. I might have. I'm getting my two stomps mixed up here. Sorry, I am getting very distracted looking at this screen and then paying attention to the stream itself. So anyway, that is what we are working with. Nope, don't want that. There we go. I think in today's stream, what I'm gonna do is just go over the drums. But first, let me just pull this up. I set an overall general kind of balance to get me started. I don't know if this is gonna come off loud or not, so I'm going to take a listen on my phone as I do this part. So don't mind me as I turn my volume up. Okay, now I'm gonna hit play and enjoy the show. Check, check. All right. Yeah. I think those levels sound good. At least on my phone, it sounds good. I don't. I know the. No, I gotta turn that volume off. I cannot talk over myself. The levels I was hearing last night when I went to check out that stream test were pretty low, so I turned them up a bit. Wanted to make sure they weren't clipping. So with that all out of the way, I'm going to set this to a break, and when we come back, we're gonna get started with the drums right away. Okay, I am back, and so is Dante. Hi, Dante. Got my coffee, and just to equal it out, I got a nice cold drink too. Because you can never have too much caffeine, right? All right, buddy. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So lo and behold, I'm going to do the very first trick that you've never seen before. I'm going to start with the kick drum. Gasp. No one's done that. Anyway, I just checked out the stream when I was on that break. And I think I should probably keep this thing a little bit closer. I seem to be cutting out a little bit. Gonna have to mess with the gate settings on there. So, to begin with, you know what? I'm a little I have room for a few more audio tracks. So what I'm gonna do, first things first, is duplicate this. Should have done this before the stream, but this will actually really help. I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of those. And send these to bus 15. Why not? Create new aux, and we are gonna call that kick. Solo safe that. Input bus 15 and output to bus 1 and 2, I believe. Where I had the drums, yes. Wish it would have saved my bus naming system from regular Pro Tools, but whatever. So, why did I duplicate my kick drum? Well, this song has a few parts, as you can see, where it goes from single notes to fast notes. I don't want the fast notes getting in the way of the mix when I have a nice punchy setup with the slow notes. So what I'm just going to do is cut out the parts so they are all on their own. So this track up here will be my single kicks, and this will be my fast kicks. Another thing that was really annoying when I first started Pro Tools first, hitting play, and it just scrolls like that. Didn't do that. I had to go back and reset it to scrolling over here in, let's see, options, edit window scrolling, and continuous. I need that. It drives me crazy when it goes page by page. I hate that. Anyway, continue cutting these. Simultaneously cutting out a little bit of that bleed. What do we got going on over here? What do we want from this? Tough call if I want to keep that on the slow track or the fast one, but I think I'm going to keep that on the fast one. All right, and then right here, I'm going to let it go on the slow track. Keyboard shortcuts. I'm really thankful that shortcuts are still allowed on here because I really quickly found out that you cannot group tracks in Pro Tools first, and that is seriously annoying. In fact, let me see if Shift Spacebar works. Okay, yeah. Oh, God, even my fade settings aren't working anymore. Oh, that's annoying. So, one thing that's going to be interesting about this is that it's all live drums. There's no triggers on here. I think I already said that, but I'm reiterating it because trying to work with live drums with these kinds of plugins, I mean, it's doable, but like multiband gate, I'm so used to multiband gate that it's going to be a nightmare to try to get the same results with just a regular gate. Luckily, I spliced this up because we did want to go with the live drums, I did heavy cuts between all the drum tracks. Anyway, I would love to just skip forward this and let you guys watch the mix part of it. But this is live, so that's annoying. All right. Some extra bleed in the kicks though that I didn't get rid of, so that'll be kind of interesting. A little handy. What do we got? Oh, I don't know what you are, but I don't like it. All right. Fast kicks. Okay, so I'm actually going to leave this last one as part of the singles. And I'm going to kind of create a fake fade. So it doesn't get weird. All right. Hmm. Yeah, I'll leave that as singles. Yeah, I'll leave that as fast. Giving the gate a little bit of a helping hand there. And again, I'm going to leave this one as a single. And we'll try to create that fake crossfade there. Just to make that downbeat accent a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Another thing, I was not able to import the session data from the original song on here. So I'm just going to be at the mercy of the 120 tempo here. I don't want to bother a lot of tempo changes in this song. Almost done. Uh-oh. You're not freezing on me, are you? Okay. Dante, you are back. Yep, doesn't get much more raw than that. Okay, the rest of it is yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and consolidate that because I don't know if it's the same with Pro Tools First. I'm assuming so, since everything about this has been lackluster and disappointing. Hey, buddy. But in Pro Tools, if you have clips that are not crossfaded and bounced or consolidated, then it can be flipping the phase in between each clip, which is not something I want to deal with. So I just consolidate it all. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is take a look at these slow kicks. Try to get the gating right on that. First thing I'm going to do on the fast kicks too, but let's take a look at something a little bit more manageable. So the first thing I'm going to do is crank up the ratio and drop the range. Attack fast, release fast, hold non-existent. And let's go ahead and look for the targeting frequencies to listen to. So I'm hearing that cymbal in there, and I don't want the cymbals to be affecting the trigger or the gate. So let's go ahead and bring that high filter down. I also don't want too much of that low end to fake trigger it or to trigger it at the wrong time. So I'm trying to go up closer to the fundamental of the kick. That way we can get a real accurate gate. And because this was mic'd with the mic backed away from the kick drum a bit, it doesn't have a lot of that natural punch that I would normally like. So it does have a lot more wobbly, rumbly low end, which is the reason I wanted to split the fast and slow kicks up, because then I can manage that rumble a lot easier. Different types of compression, hopefully. This is going to be new to me. Anyway, let's give this a listen. Can't tell. These kicks look like they might be quieter, so I'm gonna. Oh no, right here. We got some quiet kicks over here. And there's a little bit of bleed right there. So this is a much better example to start finding our gate. All right. I'm good with that for now for the threshold. That's how I like to find my threshold. Is just crank up the ratio, drop the range, make sure everything is as fast as possible. That way you can hear only the part that's being triggered, and then adjust the length of everything according once you find your threshold. All right, it's getting there. I'm not really hating it. Anywhere from here to 150 seems like is a good release time. I want it to have a little bit of body, but I also am thinking about how it's going to sound in the mix. Is that much low end tail going to affect any of the phase, the rumble? And with this kind of genre, you really want to. Oh, just give me a second. Sorry about that. So, what was I saying? Gate, yes. No, wrong screen. So, yeah, the tail of the kick, it is, it's got a lot of that low end, and that's where a lot of it's gonna fight the bass, especially in this song because we got a floppy sounding bass and a floppy sounding kick. It needs a lot of work done. So I want to make this gate tight. That way we can get nice punch in, punch out. But I also want a little bit of fullness. With the fast track, I don't really necessarily want the fullness. I really just want the punch. That way all the low end rumbles going into the next kick, into the next kick, into the next kick. It's not affecting everything so much. You're really getting the more like ticks rather than a punch. So let's go ahead and adjust this hold, or no, this release a little bit again. Too much cymbal. Hey, buddy. Still hearing that cymbal. Cymbal seems to be going away now. Starting to get that tight sound. Not the microphone. This might be a bit too choked off, but I'm kind of liking it. It's got the right punch that I'm looking for. Let me just go ahead and dime it down. I'm gonna go ahead and try this out. And the attack I have as fast as possible because I want it to really grab it. Um, Ratio, there's no real reason to mess with that. I usually just dime it because if I want to gate something, especially like this, I want to fully gate it. Dante is now laying on my arm. Cool. I mean, let's go ahead and play with it just to see what kind of sounds we can get. Now, the one time I might use the ratio is on toms because of the cymbal bleed that will be coming in there. You don't want it to just go. Dun, you want that tail in the toms. That probably wasn't a great example, but let's mess with the range. Yeah, no, I just want to get rid of that. Seems like a good starting point for the gate. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these fast kicks. In fact, I'm going to want to check out these gallops here, just because the start-stop of them will be really great to figure out where we're at with that. I'm going to go ahead and put these back to 0, or as low as they'll go, excuse me. And let's take a listen to how we're triggering the sound again. So because there's a lot more low-end buildup on the fast tracks, I kind of want to bring in more of the high end, uh, get more of the top smack from the drum. That way because that's where a lot of the punch is going to be. So I want that to be what triggers the gate, not so much the low end. Still want to watch out for that cymbal, but because these kicks are going faster, you're going to get away with a little bit more high end. The low end is something to still be wary about, though. About right. Dante, you are shedding on me. Just cleaned my coffee maker, and I think I am tasting some of the cleaner still in there. Lovely. That is why I got one of these. Rinse that taste out. Anyway, let's go ahead and listen to that hold now. I'm dumb and forgot to turn this off. So I want this one to be a lot tighter than the other one. So that I don't want to deal with that crackling sound of it coming in and out. So I might focus more on the release than the hold for this one. Oh, let's give that a listen. All right, I'm starting over. I forgot to check the threshold. Uh, I really just want it to make sure it cuts out. That getting the threshold right here is gonna really help the rest of the settings. That sounds like a good spot. All right, now let's go ahead and mess with that hold again. All right, I'm able to get away with a lot shorter hold with that threshold now, so that's good. I'm fighting that cymbal a little bit now, but we're at a better position. All right, excuse me, Dante. Now that I got that set up, I want to hear this during a straight part. Come on. All right, I'm not getting the results I quite like from this, but I'm gonna leave this alone for now and see if this disappears in the mix later. If not, I will have to go back and check on this. But in the meantime, I want to see how we're doing with the balance between the fast and the slow kicks. go ahead and take a listen to this chorus. All right, so I dropped it about a dB and a half. We'll see if that sticks or if we adjust it later more on. More on. So with that set, uh, you know what? I'm gonna do some of the EQ based off the fast parts since they are more prominent in this song. So let me see what we got going on here. All right, first off, I'm gonna reset my level. So why did I go and reset my levels? Well, mixing is mostly about the balance. You get the balance right, you usually get the mix right. Now, these tracks kind of don't follow that. They do, but I say they kind of don't because um, with these tracks being done so bad, yeah, it's like polishing a turd. We wanted a turd, but we wanted a polished turd. You know, in hindsight, I kind of wish we went with a more modern sound, but you know, a lot of people in the underground scene seem to really enjoy the rawness of it. So, you know, getting their appreciation was kind of nice on it. So now that I have a balance set, I can get a better idea of what kind of EQ I want to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw up the EQs, the 7-band EQ. First thing I'm gonna do is high pass the mud, or not the mud, the rumble, because I don't want to fight with the bass too much. And I'm only gonna do it until it's just like, and I'm gonna do it until it's audible here in solo, and then I'm gonna back it off. Who the hell is meant doing what on what? Oh, don't be so noisy. Anyway, so yeah, move it up until it's audible, then back it off until you don't notice it when it's on and off. Just cleaning up enough low end to where you can work a lot easier in the end result. So it is a little bit in the audible side here, but again, I want more of the slap from the high end with the fast track because they are going fast, so there's more low end energy, and I want to tame that low end energy a lot more. Now, with the single kicks, I'll probably make this a little bit lower, which is why I'm doing the EQ on the separate channels rather than on the bus group. So we got that, but now kind of the most important thing, not really like I think taming the low end with the high pass filter and then getting the high end right for the smack to help it cut through. Those are the two most important factors when setting up your kick drum. Yeah, cutting the mids is kind of important. Not really though, because you can have a mid heavy kick and still have it sound great. Like I actually used to go ahead and set a mic on my kick drums specifically to track the mid range. So when I'm cutting out all the mid in the kick in mic and the sub mic, I would have that third kick mic to bring some of that mid power back and help it cut through the mix. And it was a really nice blend. I don't know why I stopped doing that, but it did work really nice. It was just kind of a pain to set up. That's probably why I saved some time. Anyway, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and crank this high end, and I'm going to adjust the frequency until I like the sound of the punch in the mix. That is the key. And I'm gonna find straight kick part. Make sure that's ready to loop. And you gotta do it in the mix, otherwise you're not gonna know how it's gonna sound with the guitars. You can get it. Here, let me just do an example. Let me find where I like it on here. Okay, so just listening to it in solo, I kind of like it right here. Let me unsolo this track and see what it sounds like as this.
Bow to thee.
Yeah, I'm not really liking that so much. So I'm going to listen to it in context with the mix and adjust the frequency there.
Bow to thee. Greatest of all evils, entropy and kingdom, subconscious and solitude. Bow to thee. Greatest of all.
All right, so that seems like a good, well, somewhat good starting point. Uh, I'm liking that a lot better than where I had it with the 4000 when I just placed it soloed. And that's why I like to do a lot of the EQ moves when in the context of the mix. Now, I like to set my EQ points generally in solo. Like if it's something to cut, I'll look for the harsh frequencies in solo and then cut it according to taste in the mix. But even that is hit or miss sometimes, so I don't normally like it. But like finding the right mid tone you want to cut. So let's go ahead and listen for that.
Bow to thee.
You know, in the solo. Let's fatten that up a little bit. Kind of getting a weird sound in there. So I don't like that. So I'm gonna kind of just zero that out, unsolo that, and then cut to taste.
Bow to thee.
Just diming that down, like I could hear the kick just all of a sudden pop through. Let me undo that again.
Bow to thee. Greatest of all evils, entropy and kingdom, subconscious and solitude.
kind of like where it's going there. So I don't know if I want to keep going with the cutting on this right now because I do need some compression on that for sure. Um, I'm gonna look for one more kind of nasty frequency around here. It's just such a boxy kick that I really want to get rid of that cardboard sound.
Bow to thee. Purchased of all evil, such me and kingdom, subconscious and solitude. Bow to thee.
I think that's it. Let me solo that. Yeah, that's you can just hear that hollow plasticky sound. That's gross. Whoops, not that one. So let's go ahead and drop that a little.
Bow to thee. Purchased of all evil, such me and kingdom, subconscious and solitude. Bow to thee. Purchased of all evil, such me and kingdom, subconscious and solitude.
Yeah, that brought in a little bit more punch to the kick. So I'm not gonna boost the low or worry about this one right now. I'll probably, you know what? Actually, let me just take a listen to see what we got here. Let me find the attack of it. There it is. All right. So let's drop that. And again.
Bow to thee. Purchased of all evil, such me and kingdom, subconscious and solitude. Bow to thee. Purchased of all.
Okay. And I'm not going to boost the low end right now, but I am going to give it a little bit of compression because I would like to hear it closer to what it's going to be like in the actual mix. So, first thing I'm going to do is compress it and smash it to oblivion. All right, so fast release, slowest attack. Let's find that threshold. Nah, let's not find the threshold. Let's first figure out if we actually want these release and attack settings with it obliterated. Once it opens up with it being smashed, you know that it will be affecting it the same way with it at whatever threshold you end up choosing. So let's go with that. So 12.5 versus 5. All right, it's a bit too flubby at 12.5. I was kind of liking that, but thinking about it in context, it's going to be a bit too flubby, and we'll probably fight the bass, which we do not want for those fast parts. So I'm going to leave that dimed out as fast as I can. Now, attack. Okay, let's just say 44.5. Now I'm not too familiar with the attack on this plugin. I used to use it all the time, but I never really paid attention to it. Back last time I used this, I was still probably just following every mixing tutorial I could get my hands on, saying fastest release, slowest attack. But I think the slow attack might be a bit too slow for this kick. So let's just go ahead and A/B that 44.5 versus. No, let's just go ahead and leave it. If I want to bring more body back to it, I will decrease that time. It really depends. It's all gonna be in context. I'm not gonna worry about this part right now. Actually, let's just go ahead and give it a listen. Come on. Why does it keep doing that?
Bow to thee, we will serve purchased of all evils and subconscious and soul.
Okay, I'm thinking it's a bit too woofy at 300, but a bit too not enough snappy at the 44. So let's go ahead and adjust that a little bit more. Let's try 100.
Bow to thee, we will serve purchased of all evils and chained on subconscious and solitude. Bow to thee, we will serve
All right, I'm liking 115. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and lower this a bit because that seems a bit obsessive. Let's go ahead and figure out what kind of threshold. Actually, let's go ahead and figure out our ratio. I'm really liking that 2-to-1. It's got some nice snap body balance to it. So let's go ahead and find the threshold with that. find a balance for that.
Bow to thee.
In fact, now that we got this going on, I'm gonna go ahead and zero that out.
Bow to thee. Purchased for me.
I lied. What I'm actually gonna do is make that the base for the rest of the balance and go ahead and rebalance everything else again. So
Purchased for
okay. So the reason I'm trying to balance things a little bit lower in volume is because I want that headroom when I finally get to the master. In fact, I don't even know if I'm even gonna attempt to master this with just these few plugins because really all I got to work with is a makeshift compressor limiter situation. I mean, you could probably get away with a little bit of EQ on here, but it's not going to be anything really pretty or tone shaping. So I don't. It's not really worth it at that point. I'm thinking I can get a good mix out of this, but if I was going to mix on this and send it to a client, it would have to be under the assumption that they are going to send it to an actual mastering engineer so they can try to get the most out of this. So just for the fun of it, let me mess with this threshold.
Purchased for evil, subtropian kingdom, subconscious and solitude. All to thee, purchased for evil, subtropian kingdom, subconscious and solitude. All to thee.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can set this up as a 2-bus. Come on.
Purchased for evil, kingdom, subconscious and solitude. All to thee, purchased for evil, subtropian kingdom, subconscious and solitude. All to Practice the form evil, subtrophy and kingdom, subconscious and solitude. Practice the form evil, subtrophy and kingdom, subconscious and solitude.
Alright, we'll work with that. I don't know if I'm going to want that on while I mix it. Let me check the level on that. Make sure it's not blowing anyone's ears off. Alright, that should be fine for now. I'm going to leave that on for a little bit. And I'm just going to mess with that. Let me go ahead and turn all these solos off for now. So now that I got the mix kind of ready to go on a quieter balance, I was really not happy with the fact that I dimed this volume fader. Let me go ahead and see what we're working with for the single kicks. Okay, that's what I was hearing. The phase was out of phase, so I had to flip the polarity there. Let me check this kick quick with that. It's usually something I'm pretty anal about. Don't know why I didn't check it here.
Bow to thee!
Okay, those vocals got really loud. You can be muted. I don't need you when I mix. Okay, yeah. Flipping the polarity on those kicks really helped. So we got that going. Let me take a look at what we got with this compressor. I just seem to really like that 2 ratio for this kick. Okay, I'm gonna live with that for now. Let me check again these two. Okay, so you can hear how I have the single kicks a bit more thumpy and thuddy and have a little bit more low end to them, and whereas these fast kicks, I just have them all mostly click. Oh yeah, that's right. That sucks. All right, so let me see how this sounds here. I really, really do not like that high end with this EQ. I'm so used to getting that nice, smooth, silky sounding, buttery sounding even SSL high end, and just a transparent EQ boost does not do it for me. Okay, so now that I got that set, what I'm gonna do is add another EQ to these, and then now I'm gonna focus on the kind of extra stuff like the low end boost. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that on the fast kicks, but any other extra noises that I might hear, like in these low ends, some nodes or something. In fact, that's what I'm gonna check first. Actually, let me see. Can this one get low? Yeah. So I think I might just only do 2 bands on this, maybe even one more safeguard with this low pass filter. Yeah, it definitely needs another high pass filter there. Listen to that before and after. Just brings back in some of the punch, especially if we're going to be boosting the low end a little bit. We're going to need that extra clarity. So let's go ahead and you know what? A low shelf might actually be good for this. Let's go ahead and listen to this in context. Alright, I don't know if I really like that's got too much, flap to it. Let me try a bell then. Narrow that curve a bit. Actually, I'm kind of liking that sound. I don't typically wanna boost that low, um, but that I'm kinda liking that sound. Let me mess with this Q a little bit. That brought in a lot of aggression to this part. I'm really liking that actually. Boosting that much at that low is just not typically something I would do, but you know what? Whatever. It works. I do believe this kick was tuned really low. I'm hearing a lot of overtones in this kick and I really don't like it, which is why I'm worried about boosting that low. But, we'll see what happens with that. Getting the kick right is kind of gonna be the hardest part about this whole mix. Getting it right with the bass anyway, I should say. The bass is probably what I'm the most worried about. So, speaking of bass, I want to make room for the bass when we do mix it, and I know that that's gonna be around 115 or 130, so I'm gonna take a listen to that area. Yeah, that really helped the low end breathe a lot. So let me adjust this a little bit. This seems like it's a bit too much. All right. Now that we got that settled a little bit, I kind of want to go back and check this high end. Man, I have no clue why it does that start stop thing. Yeah, a little bit less EQ on that high end going into that compressor. We can make up for any of that uh, after the compressor, but that should affect it differently. Let's give that a listen. Oh yeah, this EQ is definitely what is going to make this kick. I'm liking it a lot more now. I'm feeling a lot better about that. So before, after. So let's see, we're not even doing 3 dB extra on the high end. Still focusing on those same parts, This high end on this other kick, I'm doing a lot wider because the overall tone was not that great. So this was more of a tonal balancing, whereas this one is more of a character. This still is basically doing the same thing as this right here. I just want to boost the attack of the kick. I'm doing it again after the compressor to help bring back anything that is getting squashed down. And this, man, I'm really liking this low boost. That's really bringing a lot of the energy. Let me just turn that on and off. Come on. And you know what? Let me go searching for one more mud frequency. I don't know if I necessarily need to, but I'm still hearing a bit of that honky sound that I kind of want to get rid of. Yeah, that really fixed up what I was hearing. That was a bit more drastic than I was expecting it to be. But yeah, that really helped let it sit in the mix. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the boost frequencies on the slower kick now. So yeah, I do want more low end coming through on this kick, so I'm going to lower this high pass filter because I don't want it affecting too much of it. Now, because I'm letting more low end through with the compressor, I don't think I necessarily want to boost more low end, and that high end might be too much because it's got more room to breathe. So we gotta adjust it differently. All right, so yeah, let me just pull the two up. You can see what I'm talking about. So right here in this low band in the red, you can see that it definitely is much more of a boost since we were cutting more of the low end off and we were making more of a punchy compression. And we balance that out by making the low end EQ boost higher. However, we went the opposite route with the low or the slow kicks, and there we go. Now, because these are faster and have more low end energy, they have more mud in the fast kick. So this cut is a lot bigger and more exaggerated with the fast kicks. Whereas here, I brought it up a bit, doesn't need that much. And because we want these fast kicks to really punch through, they're pretty much double. The high end is pretty much doubled from what this low kick is, except maybe this. Yeah. All right, so it's not. It is a little bit cut, but still. Yeah. That. Let's see how they play together. All right, so let me listen to the soloed. Yeah, I'm actually okay with that balance for now. So what I'm gonna try to do now that I got these set up pretty much the way I want it, I'm gonna go ahead and try limiting the bus so I can get them both under a fader in a way that I could just have control, a little bit more control, let them sit more presently in the mix without like in this one you can really hear it just going up and down in volume. Like it goes from and just it's a roller coaster of volume. I want to limit and try to tame that. Okay, so let's give that a listen. All right, that definitely helped, but it's not doing everything I want it to. So I'm going to try doing that again. And what I'm going to do is back off the settings on this one a little bit, I think. Then we're going to add this one, see if we can just nudge that a little bit more. So let's give that a listen. Versus. Oh yeah, that made all the difference. In fact, I can probably push that a little bit more. That did it. That is where I want to be right now. So that's pretty much the kick. I don't know if I'm going to be doing too much other than minor tweaks as the mix goes on. So, I'm only planning on streaming for about another 40 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put it to another break quick, and then I will be right back. And I am back. So, to sum up what I have done so far, pretty much I have just gone through the kicks and, spent a little bit of time figuring out the gate, getting some balancing EQ going on. The high end was not accurate with this kind of style for a base level of EQ, like a pre EQ EQ, basically. Um, I didn't mic it further into the kick, getting more of that punch. So I was kind of correcting that with that. Anyway, what's up, buddy? So after that, we compressed the kicks. We compressed the uh, fast uh, kick tracks a little bit tighter. That way, uh, it can punch through a little bit more. We compressed the slow kicks a little bit looser, let that breathe, and actually let some of that low end that it has naturally come out. Then I went in and threw in a few actual uh, tone changing EQs with low boost, uh, a couple more high boosts, and then scooping that last little bit of honky mid that was really bothering me, so they would cut through. We boosted more low end on the fast kicks to make up for the tight gating and compression, and we boosted a little bit less and less high pass filtering on the slow kick. That way, it can let that low end just breathe and kind of balance itself with the fast kick. So they're not just jumping out. One is completely different than the other. In the context of the mix, we want them to sound uniform. So after that, I bust those two kicks to the kick bus. And in the kick bus, I have a limiter going on. And then I'm only doing a little bit of limiting on that. No, well, I'm doing a little bit more than I am on the second one. But I threw another limiter on because it wasn't completely getting that consistency that I wanted. So one more limiter on that kick. And that really helped it. That's just barely kissing it, the second limiter, but because it has less to fight with in terms of dynamics, it's able to keep those dynamics even more in control, which is why you do a little bit of staging in the compression for the limiter. And that is what we got going on so far. So let me bring this back up here. And let me turn all these plugins off. Remember, these are live drums, not triggers. So here is what it was originally. We threw on the gate. Then we threw on the corrective EQ. Then we threw on the compression. Then we threw on the tonal EQ. Then we threw on the limiters. So with that, I've got about another half hour left here. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the snare a little bit. I think gating is going to be a little bit tricky with this. I might try to split the snare like I did with the kick, do these power hits in one, then the blast hits on another. That's how I would typically do it. But with this being Pro Tools first and us having the limited track count, audio track count, I don't know if I can get away with that. I think I'm already at my limit. Let's see what we got here. So again, I like to max out my settings for the gate when I first start, fast release, fast attack, uh, fast hold. We'll do the no bottom out that range, max out the ratio, bottom out the threshold. Actually, no, max out the threshold. And then we'll bring the threshold down until we start hearing only the stuff we want to hear. And then we'll mess around with the other settings. So right away, I'm hearing that cymbal and I'm not going to be able to get those cymbals out of there completely like I would normally. Normally, I would use the AIX multiband gate and get that cymbal right out of there. But there's no multiband on here, and I can't split it to enough times where I can make a makeshift multiband. So let's go ahead and see if we can not trigger that cymbal. All right, I'm also hearing that kick going on in the background, and I don't want to hear that either. All right, that seems to be cutting out a lot of what I'm not liking about it. So let's go ahead and mess with the hold there. Okay. Now with the hold, all I really want to do is make sure that the full transient is coming through. The tail, that's gonna be the release. That sounds good to me. I mean, there's still a lot of cymbal in there, and I'm not liking that. But it is what it is. Again, that's something I would treat with multiband or maybe even dynamic EQ, but I do not have that at my disposal. So let's go ahead and see what this sounds like with the kick as just the gate now. It sounds a lot tighter. So, what to do? What to do? Let me actually suppose I can leave that on now. Mute that. Let's see. Do I have enough? I might see if I have enough room for a separate reverb from the vocals and snare. But do I want to compress first? Let me take a look at what kind of waveforms we got going on here. Yeah, I'm gonna compress a little bit before we EQ. I lied. You know what? Let me get a bass high pass going on here before I compress, and then I can get a another one to fine tune that. This one's just going to be for the audibleness. Okay, that sounds like a good level. I'm just barely hearing it react to that. So we'll go with that. Now, I gotta hear that again. I don't want to compress that um overtone. The doing, 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 doing. It's very muted, but it's there. Let me just try to find that. I assume it's going to be around the 370 area. Yeah, that's the frequency I was talking about. So I was 100 hertz off. My bad. There is something in that 300 area that I was hearing as well, but the one that was annoying me is this one. Yeah, that's night and day. Now, cutting that frequency is something I'm okay with doing in solo because I'm familiar with this general area being annoying. So one major cut like this, especially this drastic of a dB, it's very narrow. I'm really only zoning in on just that part. I'm not gonna do any more on this EQ, at least right now. I don't think. Let me listen to that high end. Yeah, no, I don't want to touch this EQ anymore before compression. I will do the rest of it after. I might go back to it, but for now, I want to know what I'm working with. So again, max out that ratio, slam it, fast release, slow attack. We're going to start here. We're going to adjust it as we go. Raise that volume a little bit. So if you want more of then you want the slowest attack. If you want more of a rounded, full tone snare, then you want a faster attack. Wait, did I say that right? I'm already losing my mind. So I want somewhere in between because I kind of want to bring back some of the body of the snare with this compression after that kind of gating. So I might back off the attack a bit. So there's no way this I'm gonna get yeah, there's no way I'm gonna get away with only using one compressor for this. So I'm gonna have to think about how I'm gonna want to balance my compression. I'm gonna have one for more of a overall level control and one to kind of con- tone shaping, I should say, similar to how I did the EQ with the kicks. Again, I'm liking that 2 to 1 with this compressor. That must be like the magic number with this one. I'm gonna take a look at this attack again. Okay, that sounds decent to me. I don't want to overdo this one. I just kind of want to get a little bit more of a balance going. There we go. I'm now that we're compressing, I'm really not liking that symbol in there, but you can only do so much. So, now you know what? Let me mess around with this knee a little bit. That might be exactly what I need to get it where I want it with this. I'm gonna throw on another gate and try something a little bit different. think I like that. I can't tell. It's kind of helping control the cymbal a little bit, but at the same time, it's cutting out a little bit too much of the snare than I'd like. I might just try to reintroduce that again with another layer of compression. Let me listen to that one more time. Yeah, I'm going to roll with that for now. So now that I got that going, I'm going to go ahead and throw on another EQ. And now is where I'm going to go ahead and listen to it in context. Throw these kicks back on. Yeah, all right. So this again, like I said, another high pass filter after compression to help lower the level that was brought up, and that is letting it breathe a little bit more again. Just got a nice little bit more focus to it. So I want to go ahead and take a listen to this high end. All right. I'm trying to boost a little bit to get a little bit more snap out of it and to help it cut through the mix a little bit, but I don't want to mess with that cymbal in there. All right, I think we did a good job with that. So now I want to try to get rid of some of that nasty honk in there. It's really bothering me. I guess honk isn't the right word. That's more of a cardboard sound. Not really, but it's somewhere in between. Okay, so you can hear that little tick, 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 tick. This is kind of helping that. It's not necessarily making it go away, but it is kind of changing the way it reacts. So that is helping it breathe, in my opinion. So low end, the trick. I don't know if I want to go with low shelf or bell. My gut is telling me low shelf. Just with kind of how ugly this snare tone is. attempt a bell now because that's just exactly what I want from there. So now I want to try to get some more character out of it. Now this one I'm a little nervous about with that symbol, a little bit more so than I was with this, because this is gonna be right where that symbol is. I know. All right, I'll leave it. It's bringing up the symbol a little bit more than I want, but it really is helping the snare get through a little bit. So I'm gonna leave that as is. This is my tone shaping EQ then. So let's do it before, after. I like that. So now I want to go for another compressor. This one I want to try to bring back some of that punch that I lost when I dulled it with the other compressor. Yeah, I'm gonna throw out that, make that a hard knee. Figure this out. Yeah, I like that. So I also this time, unlike with the snare, or with the kick, I want to check the polarity right away. Before I call it good. Yeah, again, I like this with the polarity flipped. Giving me a little bit more low end. Now, if you don't understand phase and polarity, polarity is not phase. I mean, it does affect it, Polarity does affect phase, but um, it is not phase itself. What it's doing is inverting the signal. You know, if the waveform is going up and then down, it will change the waveform to go down and then up. It all depends on what the rest of your tracks are doing. So it's not like a low end enhancer. Although if it is in phase, you will tell because the low end will be a little bit more defined. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes it's like, all right, well, I can't tell the difference either way, so I'm gonna just pick one and go with it. But this one, I'm definitely hearing a lot clearer low end, a little bit more solid body and punch with it flipped. So I'm going with that. I assume if you're watching this, you already know about polarity and phase, so I'm probably just talking to a wall here. In fact, I literally am talking to a wall. Anyway, let's go ahead and balance this out with kick. Okay, so now that I got this set the way I want it, I'm going to attempt to create another verb track, or a verb track. I don't even have the other one set. Okay, it did let me do that. Solo safe that. We are going to try, do we have any more buses? 17, 18. So send from the snare bus, or the snare track, I should say. 17, 18 there. Okay. So what do we want to use? We got studio verb and deverb. I really do love me some deverb, but I want to try some studio verb because I know I'm going to have deverb on the vocals. I'm really liking this tiled room. It's giving me kind of the character I want. It's not, like, I would like that wood room, but it's a bit too muffled for me. This is kind of working with the tone of the snare. Oh, there's a tone now. Let me mess with that wood room quick. You know what? I'm going to go with that for now. Let's check out the decay. I'm not liking how Pro Tools First is reacting to all the start-stop, so I'm just going to go ahead and save it. All right, let's go ahead and listen to that again. I'm not liking the pre-delay on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this as is. I'm debating whether or not I want to EQ beforehand and kind of carve out some of that low end that could potentially muddy up everything, but I'll look at that later. Let's go ahead and set this. All right. I mean, this is annoying me, so I'm just going to throw a quick compressor on these cymbals so they're not so wishy-washy. I suppose I should probably set these toms where they're actually useful. I want to find out if the bass is in phase with the kick. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, now that the drums are coming along, I'm starting to like this.
Purchased of all evil, Cyclopean kingdom, subconscious anxiety. Shadows rise from black and damp, rituals come to light. Obsidian tales in every breath, demon on the tide. Urgent ones are dreaming death, dark void city will rise. Subterranean, cosmic entity lost its transpoited.
Yeah, for a starting point, I'm good with that. I got the kick and snare mostly dialed in the way I want them. I mean, without any triggers and stock plugins, I'm going to call this a win, at least for now. So this is where I'm going to end the stream, and I will pick it back up probably tomorrow. Finish off the drums. I got the overheads, the room, and the toms. And, we'll see where we go from there. If we can get that done in a fair amount of time, I'll work on the bass. That's going to be interesting with how I have it set up in the stereo track. All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you guys later. I am exited out of my web browser. I got to go back in and end this thing. Oh, boy. Fun. I'm just going to try to do this with OBS. I'm going to have to get better at this streaming thing. But I had fun with it. I didn't expect anyone to watch this, so this was mostly for me and to help a friend out. So, take care.